Hello and welcome to the Dream Team Professor podcast. My name is Scott, and in this episode, we're going to be looking at the top Matchday free targets for the Euro 2024 Dream Team Fantasy Football game. Recording this on Saturday, the 22nd, so we have still got a few games left to play from the likes of Belgium and Portugal. So a bit more information we'll need to fill in a little bit later. We will be doing a deadline stream on the Dream Team Tonic podcast tomorrow. That will be 5:30 all the way through to the 7 o'clock deadline. So if you go over to that tomorrow, there's already a video up that you can hit the bell and get notified when we go live. But we'll have a bit more information by the time we do that deadline stream. So do head over to the Dream Team Tonic podcast tomorrow and get involved in our deadline stream. So what I'm going to do, I've got the fixtures for Matchday 3. I've also got the group tables up on the screen. I'm quickly going to go through what each team still has to play for, if anything, and then my top players to target from each of those. So we'll start off with Group A. Obviously, Germany, Scotland, Hungary, and Switzerland. So Germany topping the group at the moment with 6 points. They've qualified, but they face Switzerland next, who are in second place. So they still really need to win this game to win the group. I did think there might be slight rotation, but I'm actually leaning towards they might just make a few minor changes or make early subs if they're already ahead. So I still think Germany are going to line up pretty strong. But also where it's the sort of first fixture, both the games happen at the same time at 8 o'clock. So I still think that those Germany players, we should still see the lineup. So I think it should be a bit easier to predict. Switzerland, a point is enough for them probably to get second. But I think they're likely already through with 4 points. And then the Scotland versus Hungary game, both teams need the win. So this could be quite an exciting game, liking the look of Szoboszlai still for this one. Group B, Spain have won the group already. Obviously, Italy can win and get up to 6 points, but Spain will still be ahead. Because they beat Italy, they'll go through top for the head-to-head. So Spain, Group 1, I imagine there's going to be mass rotation for the Spain team. But again, it's hard to really capitalize on it because we don't know what team they're going to put out. We can guess, but we don't see the lineups. So again, it's going to be a pretty useless exercise choosing Spain players, I think. Croatia versus Italy. Croatia would need the win to try and come second or get the best third place finisher. Pretty much the same for Albania, both on 1 point. But I'm not that confident Albania will get anything against Spain. And then Italy need to win or draw to qualify against Croatia, but it will be in second. Slovenia in Group C. So in England's group here, we've got Slovenia must win, possible draw to qualify in second or third. England will want to top the group, so I can't imagine there's going to be much rotation there. We'll talk about it in a minute, but there might be a few tactical tweaks because that performance was so bad in the last match. But it will be pretty much full strength still to try and top the group. Denmark, a win or a draw, we'll probably see them qualify. And then Serbia, it's a must win for them with just 1 point down the bottom. So again, I think it's going to be pretty strong lineups all round in Group C. So looking at a few players to target from each of these. So we'll go with Group A first. Both games, 8 o'clock kickoff, and the deadline is at 7. Like I said, we'll be going live on the Tonic podcast ahead of that deadline. But for this third fixture, I'm pretty sure the matches all sort of take place at the same time so that it remains sort of fair. Each team doesn't know what the other result is in the group. So if I had Germany players, I'd still likely stick with them unless you hear some last minute news that your Mittelstadt or Musiala or Havertz has been rotated. I think if there is going to be a rotation, I have a hint that it will probably be either Wirtz for Sane or maybe Havertz for Füllkrug. But I think it will be a pretty much similar lineup. I think Musiala still decent to target. Gundogan been really good. It's just the Wirtz one. I'm not 100% sure. He's been getting the early subs. Every time Sane's come on, it seems like Wirtz is the first one to take off. Musiala seems to get a few more minutes. I do quite like Sane and Füllkrug, both as differentials, if we do know that they're starting, because I don't think that many people will go for them. So you could have a bit of an opportunity to go different there. And the good thing about going different in Group C, I like, or not in Group C, sorry, in this Matchday 3, I like the differentials for this week because we get the unlimited transfers after this round. So you can bring your differentials in, but you don't have to keep them. ahead of the round of 16, we'll have unlimited transfers and we can completely reset our team. So if you did want to go for a differential in this game week, you're not stuck with them. Musiala back-to-back goals, doing well for bonus player performance marks. Looks a really, really good player of the tournament potentially so far. Gundogan obviously had a goal and assist in the last match, and then the assist in the first match as well. Penalty taker, we think. So I think he looks really good to hold still or potentially bring in. And then Kimmich, I mean, if budget isn't a problem, Kimmich has been really good, 16 points across 2 games. If budget isn't an issue, but he is 5 million and bonus in both matches too. Middle stat, been brilliant. The only thing is he is on a yellow card. So maybe they give him a rest to potentially avoid that. But I think they're just going to want to get this game won and go with their best team. Talking of yellow cards, they've got Andrich, Mittelstadt, Rudiger, and Tar all on bookings. Also in Group A, Scotland versus Hungary. I'm not keen on Scotland players at all, but Hungary, I would still target Szoboszlai on all set pieces, penalties, doing well for bonus. But other than that, I probably would avoid. And then Switzerland, I wouldn't bother ahead of this Germany match. In Group B, so Spain have already won the group, like I said. I expect mass rotation. The match against Albania is a brilliant one to target, but it's just going to be so dangerous to try and predict these lineups. Some that could be predictable, maybe could be Grimaldo at 4.5 coming in to replace Cucurella, who's done really, really well. Yeah, I have to watch out for that one because like Dream Team put a post out on Twitter earlier, sort of bigging up how well Cucurella has done in these last 2 matches, which is true, but you can't imagine now that they've won the group that he's going to be playing in this match. So he would be one to look at further down the line. The wingers, Lamal and Williams, despite being really good, I expect they probably get rotated out, given a rest. And then Morata as well. I'd imagine that he probably gets rotated as well. So we could be looking at Oyarzabal, Ferran Torres, and then potentially a Jose Perez, who seems to be making his way into the team, or Olmo as well. But again, there's just no guarantees without seeing the lineup. So personally, I think I'm probably just going to avoid Spain for this round, despite it being a nice fixture. You've also got Rodri, who's suspended, and then Fabian Ruiz has been really, really good so far across the 2 matches, but I guess he's going to probably be rested as well for this one. Croatia, you've got Sutalo, who's had back-to-back 3 bonus points, hitting tackles, but Croatia have been conceding goals. So do you really think that Croatia keep a clean sheet against Italy? I'm not that confident of that, but he seems to do well for tackles and bonus. Vardiol, I'd probably avoid now. Disappointed a little bit because he played really well at left back, but then started the last match at centre back. So unpredictable how he's gonna be. He's not as appealing as a centre back as he would be at left back. Modric, 4 points in the first match, 2 points in the second. Not really great. He does okay for player performance marks, which leads to your bonus, but again, against Italy, we're not really sure what he'll produce. You could punt Kramaric up top at 3 million goal, 2 shots on target so far, but Italy defense have looked pretty good in general. So again, I'd probably avoid that. Talking of Italy, so they're in a pretty good situation, needing either a win or a draw. I don't think it'll be big rotation from them, but they do seem to change the team a lot during games. So no one really seems to get the full 90. So it's hard to pick out a player. And none of their sort of attacking players have really stood out very much so far. And Barella's done all right for minutes. So he's had near enough 290 minutes. He had a goal in the first one, 14 points over 2 games, but does play a bit deeper. Then you had Chiesa, who did really well for bonus, 10 ppm in the first match, but came off in the 64th and 77th minute across the 2 games. So he's had a lot of injury troubles in the past. Maybe they're sort of protecting him for the later stages of the tournament. Di Lorenzo has actually been the better of the 2 for points over DeMarco, but he is a little bit more expensive. He's at 10 points versus DeMarco's 8. Could we see a clean sheet against Croatia? Possibly. But again, not that confident of it. So Group B, not really inspiring me with too many player picks. On to Group C. So England, I think England actually could be a really good team to target in this one. Obviously, really, really poor against Denmark in that last game, but I'm expecting some sort of tactical change a hope, at least anyway, from Southgate. And then hoping for a response from the England players. But there's a few things that would flag up with a tactical change that could be a little bit of a worry. So if you've got Trent in your team currently, I probably would be worried. I expect that Trent probably isn't going to carry on playing in that DM role. If he does play, maybe he gets a go at right back, but Walker's been okay, and Southgate seems to like him. So I expect that probably Trent's going to start on the bench after 2 early substitutions. Bellingham, I guess there's an option that Bellingham might drop back a little bit, or maybe we see Foden and Bellingham playing sort of dual 10s or / dual 8s. I don't think it makes Bellingham a better option, especially not attacking. But he does seem to do well for sort of interceptions, tackles, and it's led to him getting 6 bonus points over 2 matches, 19 points with a 9.5 average. So I don't think there's any chance Bellingham drops out of the team. I think it's more likely that if we were to drop someone, it would be Foden, as mad as that sounds. Kane and Saka, I think they probably feel the safest two attackers. They're the two that will probably be least affected by some sort of tactical change. Their positions seem pretty safe. Kane is off the mark with a goal in the last match. Value-wise, I still think Gahey at 3 million in defence looks probably the best option. Might see Trippier become a better option if Trent isn't in the team, because he'll be taking the bulk of the set pieces. But yeah, overall, I think probably Kane, Saka, and Gahey for me. I still think Bellingham's fine. If you've got Bellingham, I'd hold him. I still would consider bringing him in if you've got the money spare. But just be aware that there's a chance that maybe there's a positional change for him a little bit. Let me know what you think, England fans or just England watchers, what you think tactically could change for England. Personally, I think that we're going to still play a double pivot, really. So we're probably going to bring in Mainu or Wharton for Trent Alexander-Arnold. And I get a hunch that we'll probably carry on with Bellingham at 10 and maybe swap the left winger to a Gordon. We'll wait and see what Southgate's got up his sleeve. Denmark, again, I think you hold Eriksen if you've already got him. He's had 19 points across 2 games, and I'm not against bringing him in for this match either. I think he's looked pretty good. Good for bonus, all set pieces. And then Højbjerg, maybe. I don't love it, but he's had 5.5 average for a £2.5 million player. But personally, if you can get to Eriksen at 3 million, that one makes much more sense. Sesko, Slovenia, it hasn't quite happened for him. I know he's an exciting player. A few people went for him, but so far just 5 points, and you're not really going to choose him for England. Hopefully he stays quiet for the England game. And then I'd probably, the only other thing you could maybe consider is a Vlahovic versus Mitrovic. Mitrovic probably looking the most dangerous, hit the post, I think, in the last game. But Denmark have been fairly solid, so I still don't think it's ideal. Looking at sort of Group D, E, and F now. Like I said, Group E is, we had one game yesterday, which was the Ukraine match, but we've still got Belgium today versus Romania. And then Group F is still all to play later today. But we'll start with Netherlands. So Netherlands and France, obviously, are going to both be going for the win to try and win the group, both on 4 points. Stalemate 0-0 yesterday. I imagine both of these are going to be likely full strength. We'll just be waiting to see if there's any more news on Mbappe starting. Austria, a point would likely be enough for them to qualify. So 3 points already, 4 points will probably be fine to either secure them second, or it's more likely going to be the best third place finisher, I think, with Poland now eliminated as well. Group E, still Belgium, Romania to play today. But the way the group's looking, you've got Romania on 3, Ukraine on 3, and Slovakia on 3. Belgium currently on 0. You'd have to think Belgium get the win today, which is going to make this group really tight. So basically everything's still to play for, I think, in Group E. Maybe unless there's a Belgium freak loss, which I just cannot see happening. Group F, all matches still to play later today for Matchday 2. But you're going to have to expect again that Portugal will get a result against Turkey, and that will put them on 6 points. So you'd have to assume that they probably are going to qualify, unless Turkey do a number on them, and which it'll be the same for Turkey, I guess, with both teams on 3 points. But again, all still to play for. We'll have more information tomorrow on our deadline stream. So Group D players I like the look of or possibly would target. So the Netherlands versus Austria game. It was a decent result for the Netherlands against France. Dumfries and Frimpong both started together. So Frimpong playing right wing. Xavi Simons, though, didn't drop out of the team. He actually just moved into a more central midfield position. Not certain if that continues or whether it was just a case of it was a bit better off to play sort of two more defensive style wingers to deal with France. But again, Austria are a decent opposition as well, high pressing, so maybe they opt to do that again potentially. But I think there's still probably going to be questions over Frimpong potentially, so I probably wouldn't target him. Austria looked pretty good against Poland, but I still think I'd hold a Dutch defence if I had them. They've looked reasonably solid. They'll be confident after a clean sheet against France as well. The likes of Ake, Virgil van Dijk, both can pop up with goals. If you've got Dumfries, you're probably going to hold him anyway. He seems to do all right. So I think if you have got Dutch defenders, you probably keep them. But I wouldn't necessarily bring them in for this one. Gakpo, 4 million. He would be a differential still at this point, I think, if you bought him in. And he's had 21 points across 2 matches, 5 points against France, which I probably wasn't expecting anything from him. Everything has been going through him, sort of playing on that wing. So I think he's looking like the best option in attack for the Netherlands. But I haven't really been that impressed with the other attackers. Obviously, Memphis Depay. And then they've been swapping around the right-hand side between Simons and Frimpong, who looked okay. But again, I wouldn't bring him in. From Austria, Baumgartner, 2.5 million. He's been really good. I said that I wanted to bring him in, but just couldn't quite make it work. I wanted to go for those German midfielders, but 2.5 million, 14 points in total, 11 points against Poland with a goal, 7 ppm, so almost hitting 3 bonus. He had Sabitzer, who was another one I liked, but this one's a bit different. So 3 million, he's got 12 points, so not far off. Got an assist for winning the pen, getting taken out by Szczesny. But I was surprised that he didn't take the pen, so he was pretty much down as designated penalty taker. But Arnautovic surprisingly started as the striker for Austria in that match and wasn't really playing that much in the qualifiers. But it looks like Arnautovic above Sabitzer when it comes to taking pens. So Arnautovic took the pen, not Sabitzer in this game, but obviously Sabitzer still got the assist for winning it. But I think that makes him a slightly worse option because Arnautovic did have a pretty decent game. I imagine he probably starts again. So if he's not on the pitch, maybe Sabitzer is still taking them. But at the moment, I think Sabitzer might have lost them to Arnautovic. Poland eliminated, so wouldn't be targeting any players from them. And even if they weren't, they're playing against France. Could be a good game for France, though. So they need to win the group. They'll want to win the group. But this is a decent chance to improve their goal difference. Poland have looked really quite poor so far. The only thing is France have been really quite disciplined and structured and not massively free-flowing going forward. But I think they've got to see this Poland match as an opportunity to sort of take the handbrake off, get their goal difference up, and maybe go a bit more attacking. So I do like the look of this fixture. Obviously, Mbappe made the bench. Could be a possibility that he plays this Poland fixture. Didn't come on against the Netherlands. And so if we hear that Mbappe is in line to start, then he will be a fantastic option and even a captaincy option. But we kind of need some assurances before that. Griezmann, 6 points against Holland, playing centre forward, but he did miss a couple big chances. I don't think he was to blame for one of them. There was one of them that Rabiot should have been hitting it himself, but gave it to Griezmann. And I think he was a bit surprised, to be fair, but he did have big chances. He had 3 shots on target, 1 bonus, 6 ppm, and he is on set pieces. Potentially pens as well if Mbappe isn't playing. But actually, so far, what I have seen from Griezmann hasn't been great for the price. Hernandez at the back, 5 million, is the top scoring defender. I think he even might be the top scoring player from France. I'll just double check that. Yeah, top scoring player, joint with Ryan in goal. But does come at 5 million, but he hit bonus points in both and is quite attacking, so he could be a shout. They do look really solid at the back with back-to-back clean sheets now. Or you could punt a Dembele or Thuram. I don't think they've looked great, but in this fixture, I do think there'll be goals for France. So you could go for either Dembele or Thuram. Maybe there's an uncertainty of which one plays with Mbappe, but I'm pretty sure in that first fixture for France, I think they all lined up. I'll just double check that against Austria. So against Austria, they lined up with Thuram, Mbappe, Griezmann, and Dembele. So yeah, so if Mbappe is there, you'd imagine they'd probably go for that same front four. So I do really like the look of France for this fixture against Poland as one to target. Then Group E, obviously still a game to go, but Ukraine yesterday, we thought it could happen. Lunin was benched after his poor showing in the first match. He's a write-off now, you'd imagine, for the tournament. But then Sigankov as well was dropped out of the team and didn't even feature off the bench either. So he's probably one to avoid or take out if you have him. But it was a 2-1 win. But they face Belgium in that final fixture. So I think I'd probably just pass on Ukraine. They've been a little bit unreliable, to be honest. And probably the big disappointment of the tournament because I was expecting them to do pretty well. Slovakia, of course, still would hold Dubravka. No clean sheet for him yesterday, but he's still right up there with the top keepers. And he's coming at a price of 1.5 million. So if you look at the keepers scoring, you've got Maignan up there with 18 points, Simon from Spain up there with 19, Verbruggen 13, Pickford 12, and then Dubravka with 11. But the only difference is the guys above him, 4 million, 3.5, 4.5, and 4. Dubravka, just 1.5. And then Romania, I think probably still a pretty decent fixture. So if you're still in trouble with your keeper, or maybe you want to get a sort of premium striker for the last week and you can't quite afford them, you could still save yourself a bit of money going for Dubravka. It's not the best, but value for money, I think. Haraslin from Slovakia has also looked good for 2 million. It is obviously going to be a bit of an out there punt playing Romania, but 2 million. He's had 14 points so far. Was really dangerous in the first match. Got a shot on target, free bonus against Belgium. And then an assist, 2 shots on target, and a big chance created against Ukraine. So if you're looking for something around 2 million, specifically, maybe Haraslin from Slovakia. And then Belgium, obviously still to play today, so we'll see how they get on. But they will be a team that I would be looking to target. I think Ukraine have looked dodgy at the back, and Belgium have got a lot of firepower. So obviously, got to wait and see what happens in today's match. But Doku, KDB, Lukaku, all are going to be of interest to me, depending on the outcome today, whether they get injured or anything like that. But it looks like it will still be all to play for in this group. So I think Belgium will be a really interesting one for this week. Romania, I'd probably still avoid. Obviously, had a really good first match. Unless you're looking for maybe a cheap goalkeeper or cheap defender to enable your team. But other than that, I probably would pass. And then Group F, again, no real info yet because all teams still play today. Portugal could end up rotating heavily if they do get the win against Turkey. So that could be one to avoid. Again, check out the Tonic podcast live stream tomorrow. I'll leave a link below. But we could have more information by then to help choose. Options all over the pitch off the bench as well for Portugal. So again, it's going to be a bit like Spain. And it's going to be really hard to call who gets subbed, who gets rotated, because they've got just so much depth. Georgia, still wouldn't fancy against Portugal that final match. But I mean, Portugal versus Georgia, if you can get the differential right, I think it could be a really good one. Maybe if you can target a Gonzalo Ramos, if you think Ronaldo isn't going to start, they do have some really, really good options off the bench. Jota as well, potentially could be another one. Turkey, Czech Republic or Czechia. Gula from Turkey looked really good, 2.5 million. His last performance obviously really caught the eye of everyone with that long range effort. 12 points and obviously a big goal threat there. Kadioglu, 2.5 million. He's an attacking defender that looked pretty dangerous in the last fixture. And obviously Turkey, Czech Republic probably will be a fairly tight game. And then Chanaloglu, 3 million. Overall, he's not impressed me, but he is still on pens and set pieces. So he is an option. And then Czech Republic, Sofal at 2 million. Got an assist in the first game, 6 points, tackles, and 7 ppm. So looks like he could do okay for bonus. Or you've got Thomas Souček, 2.5. He hasn't delivered so far in the game, but he is always a threat from set pieces, and tackle points seem to come to him quite nicely. I did like Patrick Schick initially before going into the tournament, but that first match he got subbed off around the 61st minute, which not really a good sign. So maybe we'll wait and see what happens today. But again, probably not that many options from Czechia. Talking of boosters up next, or before we do actually, could you please leave a like on the video? It really helps the channel out, and subscribe if you're looking to watch more Euro content over the course of the tournament. I'll be dropping sort of daily videos like I have so far throughout. And then, like I said, catch us on the live stream over at the Dream Team Tonic tomorrow. Boosters. So goal bonus has looked a lot better this week than it did for last week when I played mine. I think I've already had sort of 3 players from my match day 1 team that didn't score on match day 1 go on to score for match day 2. So looking like goals are flowing a little bit more freely this week. I do expect plenty of goals in match day 3 because there are teams that have a lot to play for, trying to get certain results. But I think the only downside of this goal bonus is that match day 3 is going to have teams that are harder to predict. So that is a downside. You could have more assurances of what the lineups are going to be like from the round of 16. So the good thing about that is we'll have unlimited transfers first. So you can fully reshape your team, get all of the players that you think are going to be the goal scorers. You're going to know who they face in the round of 16 as well. So I feel like that could be a good option. But obviously, the nearer we get to the final, the harder the fixtures start to become. But in the round of 16, there'll still be a few sort of third place teams that get through. So goal bonus, I think I'd probably rather use it in round of 16 than match day 3 in general. Max captain, I've played this week. I'm currently on 26 points, so 13 points doubled from Gundogan so far. Obviously, Ronaldo, Lukaku, Bruno still to play, Cancelo. But it seems like a fairly inoffensive chip. Like the goal bonus went completely bad for me, got me nothing. But at least with the max captain, I feel like someone in your team's going to do okay. Someone's going to get the double points, and there's not really any sort of downside of playing it. Just depends what your ceiling is for that week. So I think max captain, pretty decent week to play it. Obviously, a bit of an insurance policy as well. If you do go for a player, or you were thinking of doing a captaincy and then they ended up not playing, or your vice captain didn't play, or the strikers had less minutes than you expected, the max captain could cover you there, moving the armband to the best player in your team. 12th man, do you know what? Out of these 3, I'm thinking max captain probably looks the best for match day 3. I've obviously played mine this week, but it's sort of a hindsight thing, isn't it? Out of the 3 here, I think match day 3 looks pretty good for that. 12th man, it's the only booster I've got left at the minute, and personally, I'm not feeling an urge to play it in match day 3, just because of that chance that you could bring in a 12th man that then doesn't play or sort of gets an early sub. I guess there's a chance you can pick a nailed player from someone that does need a result, like a Netherlands or a France. So France could be a decent option there. You could obviously 12th man and Mbappe in, but then he may not play for you. So yeah, there's a few different ways you could go about it. I mean, you could also get someone like a KDB in for that final Ukraine fixture, if it's all still to play for there. But I'm thinking I might save it for the round of 16 onwards, when we know that the lineups are going to be the best possible lineups. So overall, I'm thinking max captain probably looks the best, but I still think there's a decent enough argument to play any of these if you do have them left in match day 3. That is everything for this episode. A real quick one. I haven't got that much time today. I'm off out, but I'll do my team update once the full week has finished. Then we've got all the information. So please do leave a like on the video, subscribe if you found it helpful, and then do head over to the Dream Team Tonic podcast tomorrow for our deadline stream. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.